All right, welcome back to the We Not I podcast. Today we're joined by Elyse Manosh from Fingerpaint Marketing, and we're talking about unfucking our feelings.
We are. Ironically, it's a not safe for work campaign title, but it's something that I'm producing at work. So trying to get used to that aspect.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to jump into it. It's
Yeah.
Friday afternoon here. We both had a long week, and it's November 4th, and you at Fingerpaint Marketing have started and are getting ready to launch a mental health campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to, help lend my opinions and advice and help also shape the campaign. But excited to do this podcast and kind of spread a little bit more awareness about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, thanks, Garrison. Thanks for having me.
Totally. So, what is unfuck your feelings?
Yeah. So besides like a swear word that a lot of people have trouble saying out loud, it is a campaign focused on normalizing therapy for everyone, you could say, but especially young men. And it came from the fact that therapy doesn't make you weak, stigmas do. I think this population in particular, young guys, even just guys in general, have been fed a lot of archaic expectations about how to kind of suppress how they feel about certain things, and that they can't cry or ask for help or even lean on their friends, much less seek out professional help, even if that's therapy. And it's been something that I've been passionate about for a while, especially since the pandemic started. So I wanted to create a campaign that really drove that idea home and targeted our audience in hopefully a memorable way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a huge punchline that attention grabber.
Yep.
But yeah, that's awesome to hear. That it sounds like you may have had some personal experience or can relate it to that. But we can dive into that in a little bit. But what is like kind of the overall goal of the campaign, and what is it going to entail?
Yep. So the goal of the campaign, we're going to release it this November, like you mentioned, for Men's Health Month. And the goal is to obviously spread awareness about normalizing men's mental health and talking about it. But I would say the main objective would be to drive people to seek out a therapist directory, which we link to on our website. And I think the point is that it's seen as taboo to even think about talking to a therapist. We see a lot of rhetoric in media that says it's for crazy people or people who are in crises, and not just for your everyday things that are on your mind. So even if we can get people to engage with an online directory that has available therapists for their insurance, or if they don't have insurance, other workarounds to that, then I would say it's a success if the campaign can kind of spread that message that way.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with, like, even if it's just helping someone take that first step.
Yep.
Or like figuring out the journey into looking for therapy and getting a bunch of different resources together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, that's wicked cool. So what have you learned throughout starting this campaign and
Great
kind of
question.
diving into these resources?
Yeah. Well, I've learned that I think the biggest thing that surprised me and excited me was how willing people were to help with it. I guess it kind of it was counterproductive to my first thought, which was like, this is such a taboo thing and no one would want to like even talk about therapy. And of course, like, there are people out there who definitely hold that belief. But I think, like, for the people at Fingerpaint who were, enlisted or even raised their hands to contribute in any way to like the campaign brainstorming in the way early phases, like months months or even years ago, like 1 year ago, I was just blown away by how many people were interested in it. So many people came to me with like a personal story or even just a note like, this speaks to me a lot and I would love to contribute in any way. And these are like my coworkers who I have conversations with every day, who have families, kids. I think like they embody what Unfuck Your Feelings is about, where like we all have mental health. It's just a matter of like how we approach it and if we want to make it taboo or not. So what I learned was people want to talk about it. People want to be welcome to talk about it. It's just giving them a platform and a voice and I guess like a safe space to do that in. Safe space is so overly used, I think, nowadays, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it's important to let people like know that it's okay to be vulnerable. Not only is it okay, but it's a really good, strong move in the long term. So.
Yeah. One of the things I talk about is like how vulnerability brings people closer together.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, by you starting this campaign, you feel probably closer with some of your coworkers and everybody jumped on board.
Definitely. Yep. Even my creative director, who I was already close with, like I felt like I saw a different human side of the people who I just like have client calls with every day, and then we log off at 5:30. Yeah. It was great in that sense. So
yeah, it's interesting to me too that like Fingerpaint is I guess I feel like from what I know about marketing, at least agency life, from what I've heard, is like a pretty rigorous lifestyle of client expectations and kind of you working at this high performing kind of corporate like business. People could maybe I guess an outsider could look at that and say that maybe that style business doesn't really prioritize mental health as well as it could. But I guess what are your thoughts on like how Fingerpaint and this program has shifted that, or do you have a angle on that?
That's a great question. My friend pointed out to me that I always say that's a good question. I went to school to be an educator and a teacher, so like I catch myself doing it all the time. But really, like I love that you thought of like how the corporate world plays a role in these pro bono initiatives. It is an interesting role. So first, like I feel grateful to be in the creative department at Fingerpaint because we are encouraged to come to the table with initiatives that we're passionate about. Really cool. Whether that be, like, so for me, it happened to be like mental health and therapy. And we've done initiatives before on brain injuries from like repeated hits to the head from like contact sports like football. And that was because the person who really spearheaded that had like a family connection to it. So then I think that's an example of how we're really encouraged to like put client work aside sometimes to prioritize, not even prioritize, but like bring to the table things that we're passionate about ourselves that are aside from just like healthcare marketing. And that's another piece of the puzzle, is that Fingerpaint is a healthcare marketing setting. So a lot of times we follow strict legal and regulatory and medical regulations for the creative work that we produce, which is one box. And then working on these pro bono campaigns is a whole other box. It's like a whole other muscle that you have to like work and train, work out at. So jumping back and forth to those throughout a day can be tricky to manage. But I do, like I keep saying, like a broken record, I do feel grateful that I work at an agency that allows me to even like have the time to do that. Aside from, like on top of the client work already too. But like I was grateful when the creative director that I work with like had such a like vision and a passion for this campaign, and that really helped spearhead it and get other like humans and brains and hearts involved from the agency. So, and
Wow.
it wouldn't be where it is today without all those people. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you guys like pick one kind of topic per year?
That's a good, it kind of ends up that way. I would say there's a few topics floating around per year. And then it just kind of, I guess like evens out like in the people who are able to like work on their topic or even like have a partner maybe that could bring it up. So I think, yeah, like there are topics swirling around all the time. It's just a matter of like, who can get to it. But it's a never ending bucket of
That's cool.
creativity over there.
Yeah, it's really nice that they like
Mhm.
prioritize that and
Yeah.
put funds aside for it. And then,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, it probably is just like a nice mental break, or it's good to be a little bit more well-rounded and like, I guess the duties are what you're up
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
Um,
Totally. It's my like 9 p.m. work when I'm like home on my couch and just have like Bachelor in Paradise on in the background. And I can really focus and I don't have to worry about like other like legal
mhm.
regulations that need to be passed through a strict team the next week. It can just be kind of the work that you want to put out, and that's it. And then you can cross your fingers and hope that it's received the way you intend it to be. But yeah.
Yeah. So, the campaign itself, what are you planning, or can you touch much on the different media you're using and kind of the strategy and um,
Yeah, yep. So, along with our creative team, we're working with our digital strategy and social media teams to really make this have a splash on social, where I think it would be like a very natural place for a campaign like this that's all about like talking and raising awareness about
mhm,
about an issue or a topic. So, to answer your question, we have some social pages lined up. We have a website that is set up like a microsite, so super concise to the point.
mhm,
And then we're going to have a video, we call it like an anthem video, that's going to be on the website that tells the story of Unfuck Your Feelings in a visual, cinematic approach. And
mhm,
we're also partnering with a few influencers on Instagram who will help us reach their audience and vice versa with Unfuck Your Feelings. And I'm excited to roll that out. That's something Fingerpaint hasn't had the opportunity to explore yet. And
mhm.
I'm excited that we can now kind of like try like a modern approach to social in a way that
Mhm.
like some of our pharmaceutical clients may not have considered before.
Yeah,
Um, and
a
it
little
just
bit more, yeah, like untested, I guess, or
untested. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, and it just opens your eyes to like all the influencers that are out there.
What
Like
was
it's
that
really
process like
passionate
vetting?
people.
What was the
Yeah.
process like vetting influencers or talking and kind of making sure that they were
Yep.
passionate about this stuff?
Yeah, well, again, like that's where the pleasant surprise came in. Like, I'm like, you want to work with us? Like, not to minimize us, but like,
Yeah.
I was so surprised by like the people that were interested. We had a lot of therapists, like licensed clinical social workers or psychologists or
Mm,
psychiatrists who are influencers who wanted to work with us too. An angle that I never anticipated for it, but expect the unexpected, and I think it'll work really well, kind of the way we have it rolled out. So time will tell. But yeah, vetting it was, of course, like a process that we wanted to get right because we are like while there's a just like a small creative team behind Unfuck Your Feelings, we're also part of a much larger, nationwide agency
mhm.
that we need to make sure like is, I guess, reflected appropriately in
Right.
influencers. So I think we have like a lot at stake in that way almost. So
Mm,
it was a process of vetting influencers to make sure that nothing might misalign with like Fingerpaint values as a whole. So different
yeah,
voices and opinions were brought in there, but um,
that's
otherwise,
cool.
yeah, it was neat.
I'm excited for the launch.
Thank you. You've been with it through the start. Thanks.
What's so the best way, I probably will release this right around the same time. It's the best way for people to do it to just go to your microsite.
Yes, absolutely. So that's going to be unfuckyourfeelings.com, but the U in the F word is redacted. So it'll just be UNFCK yourfeelings.com, not to make that complicated. Yep, just think about it with unfuck, like without the U.
Without the U.
Without the U. So
yeah, I actually chose this sweatshirt today because it's my friend's company, but it says feelings are okay
yes.
on the top right there.
Oh
So
my gosh.
this is a perfect sweatshirt to wear today.
Great. We have a hope to get merch out, and that like little itty bitty wording it's very trendy right now. So more to come on that, but that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. And then I was really, I guess, curious on because when I guess when I do these podcasts, I like sometimes think about specific people that could benefit from them, and like I guess certain people that I meet throughout this, I think about like how their resources or business that the person is doing may help that person.
Yep.
Is there someone that comes to your mind, or a certain situation that really you think about when you think about why you started this campaign?
So yeah, that's really I'm not going to say that's a good question, but that's a good question.
You also you don't have to say their name or be too specific.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, yeah, so like I think like therapy is something that's underspoken about in general, especially coming out of the pandemic. There's this stat that I found fascinating. It's in 2020, 1 out of 6 Americans tried therapy for the first time. So it's something that a lot of us do, yet none of us want to talk about. So
1 in 6, you said?
1 in 6.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yep. So that said, like Unfuck Your Feelings started with just like a much larger audience pool of like, let's normalize therapy for everyone. But then like other team members were getting in the mix, thank goodness. And they brought up great points that like, how can we make this campaign have even a stronger and more compelling impact is to hone in on a population that may have an altered perspective of what you're trying to talk about already. And like, how can we shift that? Because there are a lot of women who think therapy is a-okay. I think even self-care is like a trendy thing happening for a lot of women lately, like your face masks and your hot girl walks. But you don't hear about those a lot for men. But they need it just as much, and maybe they do it just as much. Maybe they were just kind of embarrassed to talk about it because of the undertone society has given them. So to answer your question, like who might Unfuck Your Feelings be best for? I think it might be best for guys. We're targeting around like 20s and 30s, but I don't want to limit it to just that. Really people who are maybe on the fence about like trying therapy or like a support group or any kind of professional help, but they're not sure if it's for them, or like they're not sure if like they can afford it, or like where even you get it, or are my problems big enough or small enough. So they're on the fence about thinking about it, and maybe this could be a gentle push with the F word. So yeah,
nice.
I would say those.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that I'm like right in the middle of that demographic, and
Probably
a lot of guys I talk to, or I have friends, and on the hockey team or whatever. There's definitely people that come to mind, or interesting perspectives or things that I hear. But I guess overall, guys, I think it's getting better. Like I started this thing recently, like a couple of the guys on my hockey team, we just start saying like love you, man, or love you, bro, like
It's amazing.
when we're
Yeah.
leaving the rink or something.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
it's just like, yeah, being able to talk about therapy. And I was talking to my friend yesterday about how just a conversation that came up in my therapy session this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like was like, oh, like, do you do it online? And, so I think the kinds of conversations just help one by one.
Yep. That good point. Yeah. And like to your point, like sometimes like someone may be on the fence, but silently, and they're just waiting for another person to bring it up. And
Yeah.
then maybe they can feel more comfy bringing it up too. But yeah, I know like slowly but surely, you're right. It is getting better. Like, my therapist told me is a line that's like becoming more and more normalized every day. So I think the goal is to keep that moving and don't stop, because I think that does more good than bad, especially for guys.
Yeah. It shouldn't be it should be seen as a sign of strength, actually, that you're,
Definitely.
taking care of yourself. And
Yeah.
the thing I love about it is like nothing really has to be wrong. Some days I'll check
Yes.
in and be like, yeah, things are pretty good. And those sessions seem to be like really just smooth flowing.
Right.
And I just get to think about like other things. So
Right.
not like it has to be a reactive thing. Like, oh, I'm depressed, I need to go see a
Totally.
therapist. I feel like the way I've been looking at it more recently is like, this is just another tool, like going to the gym. It's like, I have this person that I can talk to and just kind of, it's like a life coach almost. Like,
Yeah, it
you check
is.
in and,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
The unbiased piece that therapists bring is huge too, in my opinion, because
Right.
they just bring an outsider's perspective that just makes me say like, good point, like over and over again. And I love that, like, they're not coming in with any preconceived notions of like,
Right.
well, like in kindergarten, wasn't this person like that? Or like
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. Like all they know is like their professional schooling and like how they can apply that. And I think that's really interesting. And it can be so helpful for so many things. Even like relationships, like not even just like romantic relationships, but like friendships and family stuff. Like if you don't know how to like go about something, like that, chances are like something like chances are a lot of people have like a strain in like one relationship in their life at any given moment, because relationships are complicated, and like
Yeah.
sometimes you don't want to talk to your friends about it because they're in the middle of it. So it's nice to
Right.
in someone.
Yeah. Or even like, my girlfriend or anyone's significant other, like sometimes you feel like you can just tell them everything and like,
Yeah.
that's okay. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's really nice to have someone else that's like not related at all to anything.
Right.
And, will just give you their honest, unbiased look at it.
Right.
But as far as, we talked about talk therapy, but what are some other things that you personally do for your mental health, or, tips or tricks that someone listening could take from this?
I love that question. Maybe it's because it's my first podcast ever, but I love that question. So honestly, like one of the influencers that we're partnering with, he recorded one of his videos on a walk, and I just think walks are so, I don't even know if they're underrated anymore. They're being talked about a lot lately. Another product of the pandemic, maybe, but I think just like clearing your mind, like listening to a podcast is such a good way to escape from something. And escape maybe sounds harsher than it actually is. Just like step away from like the middle of your work day, or even like the middle of like a text that you're not sure how to send. Just like step away and go for a walk. I think it's really nice to just like step out, like be surrounded by like fresh air, even if it's like a frigid winter day, just like feeling air like on your face when you've been inside for a while, may combat just the staleness that like sitting indoors has sometimes, which I think has like a direct impact on like how we feel. So I would say like going for a quick walk. I'm really into yoga these days. I do like nighttime yoga, which is not even supposed to be like inherently like impressive or like flexible. It's just
Oh,
like laying down, like, and just doing something with like a yoga block, like in a
yeah.
foam roller. All about like being cozy. And I think like honestly, like deleting the Instagram app has been huge for me.
Wow. How long have
Um,
you gone?
So yeah, so admittedly, I go back and forth. So if
Okay.
I have like a picture and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for a story, like I will re-download it and post it, and I'll keep it on for a few days, and then I'll delete it again once I've realized like, okay, I lay in bed in the morning for like 45 minutes straight, just like
Yeah.
alternating through like Instagram and Facebook, and so once I catch myself in those like, um, I guess like um
Cycle.
cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
just like, let's delete it. Like, what is it doing for me? And
Yeah.
then I
Just take
set
it
it
off
to
the home screen.
right. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Mm.
I will say I don't delete my account. It's just the app. Um,
Right.
but even that does wonders because it's like you look on your phone for like a knee jerk reaction, and then you
Yeah.
don't see the app, so you don't have anything to entertain yourself. So you're like, well, I gotta get up.
No, it's so weird, right?
There you
Sometimes I'll
go.
just look down at the phone and already TikTok or Instagram will be open. I'm like, why did I? Why
Isn't
did I?
that nuts? You're like, how did my thumb press that
Yeah,
without
I
me
just
even thinking?
automatically went to it.
Yeah, right. It's a little scary. Um, that's me. How about you? What do you do for
Well, yeah, I do a lot of things. I wanted to well, yeah, I'll give you the top five, and then I
yeah.
want to come back to something on the fresh air piece.
Oh yeah,
But
okay. Sorry, I spin that around for you.
no, it's cool. I think a big part of like my mental health now and like my recovery from kind of the stuff that I went through was just changing my diet and eating
Mhm,
like food, looking at food as like medicine, and
mhm,
putting the everything that you intake to your body, even not only food, it can be the podcast, the conversations you have with people, the air that you're breathing, the water you're drinking, the food, everything is fuel for your body and your mind. So,
mhm,
uh, yeah, improving my diet and then exercise and movement. I play hockey once or twice a week, which is twofolded because it's high intensity exercise and it's community for me,
yeah, nice.
especially with this move to Nashville this past year. It's like the hockey locker room was like
Mhm,
my first and real friend group here.
mhm,
So that's been great. I
mhm,
also, um, yeah, just try to stay up to date with people in my life that I care about, relationships, and calling
mhm,
my family. Um,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
and then I'll meditate when I can, but it's tough to go in waves with that.
Yeah,
Um, but
nice.
yeah, the fresh air thing, I've been doing a little bit more research on that because when I was in the mental health hospital in Saratoga, um, they didn't have a courtyard at that time,
Mm,
so there was no um, there's no way for the inpatients to go outside and get
mm,
fresh air.
mhm.
And some people are in these facilities for like weeks.
Wow.
So to go no
Yeah.
to prevent them from getting fresh air and sunlight and vitamin D and keep them in a room with circulating air and no access to sun on their face or real fresh air is like crazy to think that there's a ton of hospitals still out there
Yeah.
that are like that. And there was a law passed in Massachusetts not too long ago that like is making fresh air one of the 6 fundamental rights now. So that's an area that I've been like more interested in lately and seeing if I can try to help change. Um,
Yeah. That's
because
fascinating.
because it makes sense, right? Like let's give the people that need that fresh air or that fresh air walk the most and
Right.
like deprive them from it.
Right. And like maybe like propose it as a tool and a right rather
Mhm.
than a privilege and
Right.
something that you have to work up to. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Uh-huh.
It's like directly related to, I mean, the people that are in there are on new medications or going through pretty intense things. So
Yeah.
I feel like good food, good sleep, exercise, and air should be more of a priority, I guess, than it currently is.
Yeah. The food piece is a really interesting point. It's something like as you were talking about how diet has been like such a game changer for you. I mean, it's so true. Like going to the farmer's market over the summer and picking up fresh vegetables, not to sound like a total hippie, but it's just like, and then you go home and saute, and it's like, you feel fresher after eating something that you cooked yourself or like came from the earth in that way.
Right.
I mean, bonus points if you can grow it yourself, but I mean, I know, I think, but like it's equally important to nourish with like healthy organic foods when you can, as it is to let yourself have those moments of like, no, like that cookie is delicious, or like that cupcake, or that like piece of cake, or that like cereal, that sugary cereal, or anything.
Yeah, it's the 80-20 rule, I call it.
Oh yeah. Right.
It's like, the weekend. Just have the burger. It's not worth stressing out for. Or you're at a special event. Just do it.
Yep. And so many times like food is associated with like social events and like memories and friends. So it's not just like ice cream. It's like going on a walk outside with your friends to get ice cream, or like getting ice cream at like an event or like a concert or something. So it's part of the memory as a whole, which is why like I don't think food should be demonized in that way. It should be celebrated equally. But yeah.
Totally.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been addicted to turning things over and looking at the ingredients, because it's
Me too.
It's wild how much stuff has canola oil, sunflower oil, all these
Me too.
harmful things.
Yep. Speaking of mental health and stuff, I went through a pretty rough patch. I think it was like last winter, where I wanted to watch my sugar intake. So then I became really obsessive about like the grams of sugar in things.
Oh wow.
And it was horrible. It was so like I felt controlled by like the ingredient list and that number.
Wow.
And like I was at a moment where like I wasn't eating fruit because I thought it had too much sugar. And I was like counting grams of sugar in a raspberry. And I was like, never again. Actually, my therapist was like, nope. And I feel a lot better coming out of that. But it was torture, like being constantly worrying about like is what I'm putting in my body like healthy enough, and like I don't want to be contradictory to what we were just talking about like fruits and vegetables and diet, but I think it's important to recognize that all good things have balance, and restricting is just as unhealthy as
definitely,
as eating loads of fries all the time. So
yeah, it's more of a kind of a net overall look at it.
Right. Yeah.
Because not everything's perfect. It would be nice. It would be nice if there's healthy ingredients in just more accessible places, or you could go get some things. But
yeah, definitely, or at a lower price. And I understand why. Like the higher quality, most of the time, the higher the price. But maybe that'll be figured out one day. But one thing at a time.
Right. Cool. We'll start by unfucking our feelings.
That's true. I'm down for that. Let's see how that goes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing the journey of unfuck your feelings and a little bit about your story as well.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. And thanks for like opening up the world to your story too. Like I don't think like campaigns like Unfuck Your Feelings would have any traction at all if it weren't for people like you being a soundboard to the message as a whole. So thanks for your vulnerability, and I hope that like you feel better overall because you've kind of opened up about your struggles, and I hope that's had like a positive domino effect on your experience.
Thank you. Appreciate you saying
yeah.
that.
No.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun. Enjoy your weekend, Friday
Yeah.
afternoon. And everybody, the campaign should be out when this gets released. So everybody go check it out. Unfuckyourfeelings.com without
Yes.
you.
Without the you. Thanks, Garrison. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Elyse.
Awesome. Bye.